right. I think that was amazing. I think Tessa might still be alive. Kind of. All right, hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, this is a little bit of a secretive theory that I've had burning in the background, but it's something that I haven't talked about yet because I've been waiting to finish a bunch of Liam Vickers projects before going back into Murder Drones. But this video really forces my hand to speak out on some of my findings, or at least interpretations and theories, and that is that Sin is Tessa, and vice versa, sort of. See, I've always wondered, why did Sin fuse herself with the body of Tessa? And, we always like to assume that it's some kind of like Buffalo Bill situation where it's like, oh, you got pretty skin for a little, for a child or whatever, or adult. I don't know. The fandoms doesn't seem to decide how old she is. But anyways, the point is, the point is, I've been thinking this whole time, I've been kind of speculating that Tessa's still alive within Sin. We know this because again, there's a lot of inspirations between. We don't know like exactly like all the full things that the Solver does or whatever, but it takes heavy inspiration from Internetian Cube, and an Internetian Cube itself, the thing doesn't just absorb matter; it also sucks up souls. So I always assumed that perhaps the Solver, or at least the black hole thing, actually does the same thing. Hence, why, for example, whenever Doll gets sucked up, she's basically haunting Uzi and Sin now because she's still living within them, and normally it wouldn't be a problem. However, due to her solver abilities and shenanigans, it's probably not like a full process, and she's still kind of lingering there. I've also been one of the few people that have suggested that the drones are made with souls, Five Nights at Freddy's style. There's a lot of inspirations with Five Nights at Freddy's in the show, and I've always thought that their programming was a bit suspicious. It's like, why do the robots have so many personalities and wants and needs or whatever? See, it's kind of a little sus. Hence the whole hence the cathedral under the freaking Jesse Jensen building or whatever. Uh, so I've always wondered, what exactly is Tessa's place in all of this? I always thought it was kind of weird. Obviously there's a lot that I need to like really take a look at and investigate, but there's something weird going on with the Elliots. There's something really weird going on with the mansion. I think Tessa stumbled upon something she wasn't supposed to. I think she was affected by something, hence her hanging out in the library with all kinds of books and weird stuff or whatever. And I think that perhaps her urge to bring back these robots wasn't necessarily just that of loneliness, because Liam himself has tried to hint at us that she was a bit of a weird girl, and that so bizarre, so grim that the parents would intentionally try to like hide her from everybody else. And that's pretty serious. That we never get a good explanation about that. For those of you who don't know, Tessa canonically was digging up graves to build the robots, to purdy them up or whatever. But we also don't know necessarily if maybe there was like an important ritual that she was doing to bring them back, because she has, like I said, in N's weird memories, you can see that there's like weird ritual stuff written all over the place, and we always assumed that maybe it was Sin doing it to summon the disassembly drones or whatever. But I always thought that it was Tessa. Tessa was messing with some kind of like black magic, or the equivalent of it in the Vickerverse, and I have so much to talk about when it comes to that. Like I said, let me know if you guys want me to just go like screw it, do a quick summary of Puppet Game, and throw me back into the ringer with Murder Drones, or do you want me to take my time with it, to first talk more about what came beforehand, and then jump into the other stuff? You guys got to tell me, because right now I really want to just jump back into Murder Drones, back into the ringer. It's 2024 all over again. Ah! But yeah, I think that the solver manipulated Tessa into being this weirdo, into being corrupt, into eventually bringing these things to life, and somehow, for some reason, she had to fuse with Sin or the solver to do the big Lebowski, because it's weird. Like, when you look at, for example, when Jesse Jensen was experimenting with their drones to try to make like a solver host or whatever, it's not the same as what they got with Sin. All of the solver users that they make are artificial solver users, and they kind of feel incomplete. There's something very significant and different from the original host, which is Sin. Hence why how at the end they defeat Sin, and it reveals this whole like weird ultra mega orb thing that Uzi now has or whatever. And it's like, well, how come the other solver users don't have that, or how come that didn't happen with them? And again, I think it's because it's like Sin is like a complete ritual of whatever that is. I think it's has to be like a human fused with this machine, and obviously the solver is the one behind the wheel, but I think it took the personality of both Sin and Tessa combined, if that makes any sense. So that's what I think Sinsessa really is. It's literally both of them together. And you might say, well, and I definitely think that they're trying to give us more of a hint with that, with the music video, because I do feel like there's a lot that still needs to be talked about when it comes to murder drones, that the community it just went over their heads. Maybe Liam's trying to probe them a bit more, push them in the right direction. And this is the theory that I've had for so long, and I'm so excited that I can finally start talking about it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think.